Thank you very much. So it's almost lunchtime. I'm hoping I'm going to keep you in here for the next 10 minutes at least. I'm going to be making some forward-looking statements. It's the nature of our business, and that's what our management believes is going to happen. But our industry does have its ups and downs, so beware. What we were just referring to, the financing, well, in fact, it's not your ordinary financing. It's Agnico that exercised its participation right. And it did so because recently before that, we had done a transaction with O3 Mining, whereas we consolidated our Chimo Mine property with their huge East Cadillac property. And so O3 became a significant shareholder and also inked an investor rights agreement with us. And then the investor rights agreement that we had with the Agnico Eagle since 2016, well, triggered their participation right. And they raised their hands, and it was a great vote of confidence. And so now you're looking at our company that has two senior mining companies in our stock. We have $7 million in cash as a result of that. We recently traded 15 cents. Therefore, our market cap is $40 million. Our enterprise value is 46.7, with a total of 2.2 million ounces of gold. And that's not counting the ounces that we have chalked up on the Benoit property, and that eventually could happen on the Fenton and Wilson. Well, that gives us a metric, or one of those metrics that the analysts like to see, of $21 per ounce. We have essentially, well, I have a lot more properties than that, but 4 of the properties that we have all contain gold deposits with very well-defined geometry. These are things that were drilled off in the 90s and late 80s. And so they have well-defined geology with characteristics that we could build huge volumes with constant grades. And they're all situated near infrastructure. 3 of those projects are in what we call the emerging Windfall district to the north there. And our flagship, the Chimo Mine project, is to the south along the Cadillac Fault. I'll be diving, the next slides I'll be diving, and for the rest of the presentation, I'll be diving directly onto that area. We have 2.2 million ounces of gold with 2 43-101s in that area. While we were doing the resource estimates, we were also completing internal engineering studies, and you'll see why that has an impact on the future growth of the project. And obviously, the most recent highlight is the consolidation of the East Cadillac project with O3. So, as I promised, we're diving into the part of the Cadillac Fault extension. There's, in yellow, there's the recently consolidated East Cadillac project with the Chimo Mine project. The immediate advantage to that consolidation is the elimination of boundaries. You know, companies usually conduct exploration up onto a certain area where they're too close to the boundary. And historically, that leaves 200 to 300 meters of unexplored land that has tremendous potential. And so by eliminating boundaries, you take away those filters, and you could immediately produce more ounces, which was the case. By consolidating with East Cadillac, we inherited immediately of 200,000 ounces that we added to our 2 million ounce resource. And as I'll show you later, that 200,000 ounces can rapidly graduate to much more. And because the property is much larger now, it's much more flexible for its eventual, development, and you could enhance the economic parameters. Well, obviously, the only reason we did that consolidation was to be able to move it forward even faster. And so our initial budget is designed to increase the ounce count immediately near those the ounces that we have right now in the infrastructure. We have the money in the bank for that. And it also significantly increases the amount of discoveries in the area, because as you can see, the newly consolidated position actually has a land position that is in excess of the distance between Val d'Or and Malartic, where there's been 100 years of exploration, hundreds of millions of dollars invested in exploration, and there's about 30 to 40 million ounces of production there. And so this newly acquired ground, I believe, really enhances our profile to the capital markets. So now I'm going to dive even more closely to the project and its advantages. So there you go. The original Chimo Mine project of Cartier was that dark green project outline, and the yellow part is the East Cadillac project. The two mineral resources currently present, 43-101 on the project, total 2.2 million ounces of gold. On our part, we had conducted several engineering studies because we felt that's the project is eventually going to be developed. And so the consolidation of both our properties and East Cadillac, that now covers 40 kilometers of the Larder Lake Cadillac break. That's huge. And therefore, we're able to start exploring for other types of gold deposits that you traditionally find along the Cadillac. And everything that is south of that Larder Lake Cadillac fault, well, that is sediments, and that is Canadian Malartic type hunting ground. Combined, the recent drilling on the projects, that's over 170 drill holes, 77,000 meters of drilling. But historically, from the 60s to 1997, just on that dark green property, there had been over 4,000 drill holes, half a million meters of diamond drilling, and that had led to a production of 400,000 ounces. It's small, but when the mine ceased production, it wasn't for lack of ore. It was simply because of difficult economic situation. The price of gold was, I think, $400 Canadian, and they didn't have the proper installations to be mining that thing at high volumes. Today, 25 years later, with technological developments and innovations in the mining industry, well, recently we've conducted barely 120 drill holes for a total of just under 60,000 meters, and we delineated 2 million ounces of gold. So now I'm going to dive in even closer to the part of the project that's of interest to us. And there you have it. It shows a cluster of diamond drill hole indicated showings along the Cadillac fault. I've left the former property boundary in there just for reference. So you can see where the 2 million ounces of gold 43-101 was on our ground, and you can see the 200,000 ounces of gold that was on the northwest deposit that was formerly on the Osisko 03 mining ground. So now we've consolidated both of that, and obviously you can see where the property boundaries have impacted where you could basically expand and grow those resources. And so the immediate focus of our company is going to be, around that cluster right there. Here's another perspective of the previous slide, where you basically see a 3D extension of the structures. There are three major areas, the three significant areas where we're going to be drilling to expand the ounce count, and that's going to be that circle there that's to the east. That's what we call the East Chimo Mine area. The northwest deposit that has a 0.2 million ounce resource, and that other circle off to the west, which was literally on the property boundary, and that we can now expand. So let's basically look at what we're talking about when we talk about potential expansion. So here's the slide. There's the central part of that slide is the former Chimo Mine. You can see the shaft and the drifts. And the shaft goes down to 920 meters. So the first thing we did when we got the project and support by NICO is to drill immediate at depth. And you could see that it clearly extends and will continue to extend past 1.6 kilometers. The new system of the consolidated ground is 3.7 kilometers long by 1.6 deep. I'd like to remind you that from 2017 to 2020 or 21, we only focused on the central part, because actually the property boundaries were just west of the shaft and just east of the East Chimo Mine area. Now, I'll let you imagine how much potential there is just beneath the West Nordo trend and the West Simon and the Portal Zone. Another thing, I hope my microphone's going to work. But in 1987, they had actually launched a ramp from here all the way down to here, and then the market fell. So basically, we're looking at a system that can deliver almost 5 million ounces just in that slide. But for the next 12 months, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the East Chimo Mine area, the West Nordo area, and immediately west of that, of the Chimo Mine shaft. So there you go. You have a summary of what I have presently presented. And just off to the left-hand side of the slide, I've put in for reference, right, the historical Chimo Mine that produced just under 400,000 ounces. You can see the shaft in bright green, the drifts, and what was extracted. At the same scale in the central portion of the slide, you can see the shaft again. But you can see the result of all the work, the resources that we delineated, and the engineering that we conducted to see, to start to see the economics of this thing. Well, obviously, at the time that we did these engineering studies, we did not have the third resource estimate where you could see those white boxes, the 43101 white boxes beneath the Chimo Mine, beneath the East Chimo Mine area, and obviously we hadn't had the Northwest deposit. The only reason I put that red line at 1.2 kilometers is that from the current shaft, you're able to ramp down to 1,200 meters and develop and mine. If you want to start mining below that, you're going to have to consider deepening in the shaft. So there is a way to get at this by minimizing cost and give this a fourth mine life. And obviously those bright green drifts to the west accessing the Northwest deposit. Well, that's the last point I want to make before we go on to the next slide, is since acquiring the project, we have to restate the 43101s on the Northwest deposit for two reasons. The first is there can only be one current 43101 on a project at any given time. And the second is that the people that did the resource estimate on the Northwest deposit did not have the benefit of the shaft and the underground workings. And so the engineers and consultants there had to use a much higher cutoff to math out the resource blocks. I think next week we'll be announcing the launch of the resource estimate for that portion, and it will be homogenized with our Chimo Mine. And I think you're going to see that that's going to tally up more than 2.2. It's most likely going to be 2.4, 2.5. And so since our target in the next 12 months is to get it past the 3 million ounce mark, we've already got 75% of the job done. And the 3 million ounces target that we want to reach is going to be reached only in one of those yellow boxes in the East Chimo Mine area, in the Northwest deposit area, as well as in the stuff that's to the west of the shaft. I mean, so we've got our work cut out for us for the next 12 months. We're fully funded to get it done. And I think the recent vote of confidence by NICO indicates that they also believe that this is going to be a mine. So it's not really arm waving. What I've indicated here is everything that we've done in the last 4 years. We've progressed this from 0 ounces of producing mine, delivered a first resource of just under 1 million ounces. We chalked that up to 1.2 and then to 2 million ounces. And now with the consolidation, it's 2.2. So our target is in line, and I think it's relatively conservative, but the end result is already tremendous for a company that has an asset that is along the highway, access to a qualified workforce and infrastructure in a mining district that is steep in tradition and productivity. So again, the new program is going to get underway sometime this summer. We're going to drill the extension of all the known gold zones. We're going to update the mineral resource estimate, and obviously we're going to pursue with studies to get it to a PEA level, if not a pre-feasibility. Keep in mind that we're a four-man crew. Myself, Gaétan Lavallière, our vice president, Ronan Desroches, our senior geologist, Nancy Lacourcière, our CFO, and two of those people are going to be awarding contracts to about 31 different contractors with 96 people out in the field. It's a highly efficient exploration machine. Very lean and very low cost, high reward situation. A final word on the ESG. We are in the process of acquiring the ESG Eco-Logo certification in Quebec. We've got two current mineral exploration agreements with the Cree First Nation and one on the way with the Algonquin First Nations. And we've been at this for more than 10 years. So it's, you know, I think I hope I've demonstrated that, you know, I've demonstrated that we're an investment opportunity. And if you have any questions, we'll be in booth number 17 for the remainder of the show. Thank you.
Thank you, Philippe.
Did I go overboard?